Good evening, viewers and listeners of Concerned Citizens Media. Thank you again for coming back. As usually, I appreciate your presence and sharing your time with me. Today is December 5, 2022. So I have several news to share with you. I will start with the update on World Tournament in Qatar 2022. So, so we have some teams advanced to quarterfinal. We'll read. The first one is Brazil versus South Korea. Brazil advanced to quarterfinal by defeating South Korea 4-1. Croatia versus Japan. This was a tough game. They played for 120 minutes and the remain 1-1 scores. So finally they given 5-5 penalty. Then Croatia beat Japan 3-1. So Croatia advanced. So it is for Japanese. If you saw that match, you will see tears dropping from Japanese team members and their fans. It's a very heartbreaking situation. Very sad. Real tears, not crocodile tears. Real tears coming down after they got defeated by Croatia by penalties after they played for 120 minutes. England defeated Senegal 3-0. France also beat Poland 3-0. I think 3-1. So England and France advanced to quarter-final games. So Poland just scored one goal by penalty. That's like to boost Poland emotion. I think that penalty is not fair. They kick the penalty, the goalkeeper saved it, but the referee, ordered the second penalty. Then it was unfair if you see that game. So France, England advanced. The only African team in this world tournament is Morocco, and Morocco will play with Spain tomorrow. Another game tomorrow also, Portugal versus Switzerland. They will also play tomorrow. So we pray for Morocco team. I hope they will make it for quarter final. In summary, these are the 6 teams qualified for quarter final. Netherlands, Argentina, France, England, Croatia, and Brazil. So these are the 6 qualified teams for quarter final. So we have 2 more games. Then that will make 8 teams in quarter final. So we're waiting for Morocco versus Spain and Portugal versus Switzerland. I think that game is tomorrow. So you can watch it. As I said, the replay is very clear, very nice on Tubi app. So if you can download that app, you can watch the clean, no disturbance game. It's a replay, but if you are looking for a live games, you have to use other means like YouTube TV or other cable channels. So these are the updates. for soccer tournament Qatar. Let's see the other one. Indonesia set to ban sex outside marriage and prohibit unmarried couples living together. So that's a new law in Indonesia. It's in a making. So sex outside marriage is forbidden, and unmarried couples living together also will be banned in Indonesia. So for the details, you can go to skynews.com. The other one I have is the death penalty handed down for Ethio-Tigray. She was a lady accused of killing two young teenagers. She's supposed to take care of them. So she brutally killed the two young children. Now the court in Addis Ababa handed down a death penalty for Ethio-Tigray. So credit for that one, Fana Television. Let's continue with other updates. I will start with protests in OLLAA. So students now, finally maybe wake up to challenge Abiy Ahmed's administration. And it should be replicated elsewhere in Adama, in Dredwa, in Shashamane, in Addis Ababa. They are just sleeping. They should wake up. They have a right to protest what is going on in Oromia. They have to wake up and do it before too late. So students in different schools join together, including Rift Valley University in OLLAA, to protest against Fano cross-border attacks in Oromia, and also government security forces, plus the drone attacks on Oromos. And let's listen. It's in Afan Oromo, but the general view is stop killing, stop the genocide in Oromia, and against the Oromo people, especially they are against cross-border attack, organized, well-armed Fano militia crossing into Oromia and conducting continued genocide on Oromos. Let's listen.
Tonni mana barumsaa Calalaqii Daargee Kaatoolikii fi Yuunivarsiitii Rift Vaalii magaalaa Naqamtee ajjeechaa waraana mootummaan bobbaasuu fi humna milishaa naannoo Amaaraatiin uummata Oromoo irratti raawwatamaa jiru mormuun hiriira bahan. Waa'ee uummata keenya haleellaa lafoo fi qilleensaan guyyaa guyyaan qe'eesaatti duguugamaa jiru caaleen jennu ajjeechaan nurraa haa dhaabbatu kan jedhani barattoonni kunneen haala rakkisaa sagalee ofii dhageessifachuuf jiruun osoo hin daangahin hiriira bahuun uummata isaaniif sagalee ta'anii jiru. Uummanni Oromoo gocha duguuggaa sanyii irratti aggaamame callisaan wal irratti ilaaluu akka hin qabneefis gaafatan.
the Google Pixel 7 Pro, know the language with Live Translate. It works as you read, talk, or type. And you can stay out for up to 72
በከተማ አምሃ ደስታ ብቻ ሲሰቀል አሊያም የሁሉም ብሔረሰቦቹ ባንዲራ ሲሰቀል ነው ሲሉ
Okay, I will come back to that one. That's also another different protest, controversy over Oromo flag. So that's the beginning of student protesters recently. They did good in the past. They brought change. That change is averted, hijacked by Prosperity Party and Abiy Ahmed. Now we are suffering again. So we need to intensify the protest and do everything against this brutal regime, very brutal, failed leadership in Ethiopia under Abiy Ahmed. He came like a nice guy. That's why the European Parliament call him a devil, and a wolf in sheep clothing. That's the best description of this prime minister. So everybody welcomed him, and he spoke nicely. People cried and asked themselves, where were you? Where were this guy with these blessing words, nice words, expression, inspiring, welcoming everybody? Now, after a while, the real Abiy Ahmed came to being. Now Ethiopians are suffering, and Oromos, those who brought him to power, now suffering the worst, especially for the last 3+ years in the genocide on Oromos in OLLAA is unspeakable. Internet shut down, phone shut down, other means of communication shut down, and the people are suffering by the Prosperity Party security forces, plus by Fano militia, very organized by the government, sponsored by the government, endorsed by the government, by the regional and also by federal. Now creating death and destruction, chaos on Oromos, caused more than 700,000 residents displaced in Oromia. So unaccountable atrocities, and no one can stop the Fano militia. So the protesters are asking to be heard, their shout, their cry to be heard, and also they calling to end the killing and the genocide on Oromo people, and respect for their rights. They are also asking, and they call against looting, burning of their houses and the properties. So they are against this, and they call these atrocities must come to an end. And they also say we students must unite against Prosperity Party and its leadership. That's a right call. That is a right call, and must be organized and must be replicated in other parts of the city, in Addis Ababa, in other big cities, Dredwa, Shashamane, Adama, plus other cities. If that doesn't happen, the atrocities, the genocide will continue, and both by Fano militia, plus by the government sponsor or financed other armed groups, and by government drones. Civilians are dying. Even today, some media is reporting the government carried out drone drone strikes against civilians in Wallega. So these atrocities will not come to an end if Oromos are silent. Oromos must wake up, both at home and around the world, to stop this genocide happening against the Oromo people. So this one, the next one is about Addis Ababa controversy over Oromo flag. So maybe Oromo school administrators in coordination with some Oromo prosperity officials try to change the flag. So the residents are opposing it. First started with the student, now student plus parents opposing it and challenging that and demanding the removal of the Oromo flag, Oromia region flag, and replacing it with Ethiopian flag. So that's a challenge. And Prosperity Party is creating chaos over there too. It's not time to change the flag now. It might be okay when the real claimers or real owners, the Oromos, when come to Finfinne and capture Finfinne, that time you can raise the Oromo flag. But right now, it is not the right time to create chaos and controversy or to distract the attention. So let's listen to that one too. It's in Amharic, but the general idea is, those who are opposing the raising of the Oromia flag and demanding the Ethiopian flag.
ተሰምቷል። ስብሰባውን ተከትሎ ሽሮ ሜዳ አካባቢ በከፍተኛ ሁኔታ በፖሊስ ጥበቃ ስር መዋሉንም ምንጮቻችን አክለዋል። ውይይቱን ለመምራት የክፍለ ከተማ አመራሮችና የትምህርት ቤቱ ርዕሳነ መምህራን ተገኝተው እንደነበረም ተገልጿል።
So there's chanting, celebrating, saying, this is our flag. This is not, Oromia flag cannot be raised in Addis Ababa.
ከሁለት ቀናት በፊት በጉለሌ ክፍለ ከተማ አማሃ ደስታ ወይም እንጦጦ አምባ ትምህርት ቤት የኦሮሚያ ክልል ሰንደቅ ዓላማ ይሰቀል አይሰቀል ከሚል ጋር በተያያዘ
At NGA, we believe our diverse experiences inspire innovation and ingenuity. Through diversity, we draw strength to solve difficult
ዓላማ ይሰቀል አይሰቀል ከሚል ጋር በተያያዘ በአካባቢው ሁከት ተፈጥሮ እንደነበር ኢሳት መዘገቡ ይታወሳል። በግርግሩም ተማሪዎች በፖሊስ ተይዘው እንደነበርና ሁለት ህጻናት ጉዳት ደርሶባቸው ወደ ሕክምና ተወስዶ እንደነበር ኢሳት መዘገቡ አይዘነጋም።
Okay. So
መንግስት በተለያዩ የወለጋ አካባቢዎች በአማራ ተወላጅ
The streets of Rabat.
Okay, I will come back to this one. So, in this controversy, he said two students injured and several students also taken into prison. So that's a controversy over Oromia flag. As I said, it's premature to create such chaos. The Addis Ababa situation, the Addis Ababa claim is not settled. So you have to settle the claim first, either by constitution or by force. Then you can raise the Oromo flag. Until that time, you will have unnecessary fight. Let's continue reading other news. This is from again on Wallega and other Oromia parts, a press release by OLLAA, OLLAA. OLLAA is Oromo Legacy Leadership and Advocacy Association. Usually, it's led by Sena Jimjimo. Let's read very quickly. Gruesome attacks throughout western and central Oromia, December 5, 2022. A gruesome video, explicit content warning, began circulating on social media this morning, showing several members of the Amara militia Fano speaking in front of the decapitated heads of individuals from Jardega Jarte, Horro Guduru, Wallagga zone. They claimed were Shane. This is just one of the multiple reports of violence acts being perpetrated by Fano throughout Western Oromia in the past few weeks. For example, OLLAA's sources have also reported that allied forces, including Fano, extrajudicially executed 20 civilians in Hangar Gutin, East Wallagga zone on December 4. Hassan Yusuf, the president of Wallagga University, made a Facebook post claiming that 8 of his relatives were killed in this attack. On November 25 and 29, 2022, residents reported that Fano killed several individuals during attacks in Kiramu district, East Wallagga zone, including a Kiramu district court judge. The Gida Ayana district government's communications office issued a statement claiming that the entire population of 19 villages in Kiramu had been displaced due to the violence. Sources on the ground have also reported to OLLAA that multiple civilians were killed in another attack perpetrated by Fano in Agamsa town, Horro Guduru Wallagga zone on November 29. Another source reported that Amara militias had recently attacked civilians and burned down their homes in Bosat, East Shoa zone. Although estimates of the number of individuals killed in these attacks vary, and the telecommunication shutdowns in the zones makes it difficult to get a true picture of the extent of the violence, it is clear that they have led to deaths of numerous citizens and a mass displacement. On December 3, 2022, Johar Mohammed tweeted that at least 350 civilians were killed and 400,000 had been displaced over the past 48 hours due to violence in the East Wallagga, Horro Guduru Wallagga, and North Shoa zone. Just within 48 hours, 400,000 residents displaced. It is important to note that these attacks by Amara militias are not new, but are part of a pattern of attacks that have been perpetrated against civilians over the past few years throughout Western Oromia. However, OLLAA notes that the rate at which these attacks have been accelerated since August is particularly alarming. Some have posted that the reason for the recent increase in attacks by Amara militia is due to the Amara regional government displeasure with the terms of the peace agreement between the TPLF and the Ethiopian government. It is also noteworthy that Fano has recently been endorsed by the Ethiopian federal government, as on July 8, 2022, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed called Fano a source of pride for the Amara people and Ethiopia as a whole. Reports of drone strikes have also continued throughout Western and Central Oromia over the past months, leading to the deaths of civilians. These drone attacks have been reported in the media, most frequently in the West Wallagga, West Shoa, and the North Shoa zones. OLLAA's sources on the ground have also confirmed that a drone attack took place in Warra Jarso, North Shoa zone on December 2nd, leading to the deaths of 80 civilians, and that airstrikes were carried out in Sasiga, East Wallagga zone on December 4. Social media reports have also circulating of airstrikes in the Begi, Gidamu, and the Togo districts of West Wallagga and the Kellam Wallagga zones on December 5. OLLAA condemns these recent attacks against civilians throughout Oromia. We note that under international law, the Ethiopian government has a duty to respect human rights and to protect the lives of its citizens. We therefore urge the Ethiopian government to seek peaceful means to address the conflict inside Oromia, as it has done with the TPLF in northern Ethiopia, and to launch independent investigations into allegations of human rights violations committed by all actors against civilians. We further call on the international community, including the United Nations International Commission of Human Rights Experts on Ethiopia, to independently investigate these attacks as well as all allegations of human rights abuses committed throughout the country. So that is a press statement by OLLAA, Oromo Legacy Leadership and Advocacy Association. So they are calling on Ethiopian government to respect human rights and abide by international laws, which is which Abiy Ahmed doesn't care, or Prosperity Party doesn't care about this, and call on the international community to act and to investigate, especially UN, to independently investigate all the claims happening in Oromia region. This is about update on the Tigray situation. Let me read. This is credit for Addis Standard. Tigray Forces commander says nearly 65% combatants disengaged from front line. Tigray topmost military commander General Taddese Warada said nearly 65% of Tigray's armed combatants were disengaged from front line as part of effort to implement the permanent cessation of hostilities agreement in Pretoria, South Africa, followed by the executive plan on its implementation signed in Nairobi, Kenya. While briefing the regional media on Sunday, General Taddese described the redeployment of 60 to 65% of the Tigrayan combatants from all front lines to the places prepared for them. Article 11 of the Pretoria Agreement states that the AU, through the high-level panel, shall appoint a team of African experts to monitor the implementation of the permanent cessation of hostilities agreed upon under Article 3 of this agreement. The parties shall appoint one expert each to work with a team of African experts, but it is not clear if the AU has a monitoring and verification team deployed. According to General Taddese, despite the presence of security challenges due to the continued presence of the Eritrean forces and forces from the neighboring Amara region, the Tigray command chain has been carrying out the peace accord. Last week, a statement released by Tigrayan People's Liberation Front, TPLF, said Tigrayan fighters have departed from Maikental, Zalambassa, Nebelet, Chercher, Kufto, Hugumbida, Beri, Taklai, and Abergille front, following a joint committee consisting of military leaders from the federal government and the Tigray armed combatant meeting in Shire town in northwestern zone of the Tigray to outline the detailed plans for the disarmament of Tigray combatants. The commander says the signed peace agreement is being carried out on our part despite the availability of Eritrean army and Amara special force inside Tigray for the past is clearly stated to be accomplished by the Ethiopian Defense Force. He also emphasized that the withdrawal of Tigray forces from the war zone is being undertaken in a way that does not harm the moral and the psychological status of the army and that it will be completed soon. According to the commander-in-chief, although the group supposed to monitor and follow up the implementation of the signed peace deal has not yet come to the region, the entire task that needs to be done from Tigray side are being carried out. We are implementing what we have to do in line with the agreement, he said, adding that we believe the Ethiopian Defense Forces is working to maintain the security of the region, General Taddese said. The U.S. State Department said on Friday that there has been a promising start in implementing the agreed peace pact. The fighting stopped within 72 hours. 4 corridors opened for humanitarian transportation to Tigray, affected areas of Afar and Amara region. Assistance has started flowing in increasing amount every day, spokesperson for the U.S. State Department, Ned Price, told reporters. He also said that a joint disarmament committee was launched last week in Shire with military representatives from both parties assisted by the African Union working out modalities and timelines to consolidate the peace. The Pretoria cessation of hostilities agreement remains the best chance for peace in northern Ethiopia, and the United States is committed to supporting the parties as they fulfill their commitment under that agreement. He emphasized that implementation of the agreement also requires the full withdrawal of Eritrean forces as well as non-Ethiopian national defense forces from Tigray. However, he admitted that much work remains to be done, including on human rights accountability. We call for international human rights monitors to be given access to the conflict area. I hope Abiy Ahmed and the Prosperity Party will give those UN monitors, the 3 experts already assigned to investigate to the crimes committed during the 2 years of this war and bring accountability for those who committed, justice for the victims. We're just waiting. So far, it looks good. So we'll see. Despite the genocide report by Washington Post, the atrocities the Amara security forces carried out on former TPLF military personnel. It's brutal. I don't know how Ethiopians can live with these people. I didn't know these people are such brutal, cruel, beheading of human body and taking selfie. This is Amara culture. Fanos. Where they get the Fanos? They got training from ISIS, Al-Qaeda. Where they come? They are Ethiopians, really? When you see what they are doing, bragging about, taking pictures, videos, without any accountability, without any punishment. So I hope one day will come when we can use those videos and bring those individuals into justice. This is about Sudan. Sudan military agrees to hand over power. Always they say this, but so far they didn't hand over to civilians. Sudan pro-democracy coalition forces of freedom and change has signed an initial agreement with the military to restore civilian rule after last year's coup. The deal allows for a 2-year civilian-led transition toward elections, but protests challenging the agreement have already begun in the capital, Khartoum, and more are expected across the country as people call for those who led the coup to be held accountable. Sudan has suffered nearly 4 years of political instability after the former President Omar al-Bashir was overthrown following mass protests. The African Union, Arab nations, and Western governments have backed negotiations between the army and the civilians as a way to restore stability, end mass protests, and try to save Sudan's crashing economy. But on Monday's agreement faces steep opposition, especially from neighborhood resistance committees, which have been at the heart of grassroots mobilization. They want military leaders, including General Abdel Fattah al-Burhani, to be held accountable for the deaths of anti-coup protesters. The deal also does not cover security sector reforms, and many worry that it leaves the army powerful and able to disrupt the democratic transition. Political leaders say calls for justice and other reform will be tackled through further talks. Credit BBC. Okay, the last one for today's reading. This is from Secretary Blinken call with Rwanda President Kagame. This is a readout of that call, office of the spokesperson. Secretary of State Anthony J. Blinken spoke yesterday with Rwanda President Paul Kagame to discuss the importance of peace and stability in Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC. The Secretary Blinken expressed strong support for regional mediation and dialogue led by Angola and the East African community. He underscored the need for concrete progress on and implementation of commitment made during these discussions, including the November 23rd Luanda mini summit on peace and security communique. Secretary Blinken made clear that any external support to non-state armed groups in the DRC must end, including Rwanda's assistance to M23, an armed group that has been designated by the United States and by the United Nations. Secretary Blinken also shared deep concern about the impact of the fighting on Congolese civilians who have been killed, injured, and displaced from their homes. Secretary Blinken condemned the resurgence of hate speech and public incitement against Rwanda phone communities, recalling the real and horrible consequence of such rhetoric in the past. So that is the call made between Secretary Blinken, Anthony Blinken, with Kigali, President Kigali of Rwanda. As M23 also is a very tough situation in DRC. I hope that will settle peacefully. Kenya is trying to settle that issue, even sending forces. Uganda also sending forces. So that negotiation failed. So thank you. That's the end of the reading. I have very short 2 videos, and that will be the end for today.
Morocco's capital, the North African Kingdom, is the last African team still in the running in this World Cup in Qatar. On Tuesday, Morocco challenges Spain in the second round, and the joy of first round success is one that has inspired hope. We hope to win this match, and then all Moroccans will be happy. The whole world will be happy. Long live Morocco. We hope that the players will hear us.
Morocco, okay.
In Doha, the Lions are united around their coach, Walid Regragui, who was carried away in triumph after finishing first in the group against teams of the caliber of Belgium and Croatia. On Tuesday, the team will be complete with Hakimi in defense, Ziyech in attack. On the Spanish side, confidence is high. Second best attack of the tournament, thanks to its goals against Costa Rica. La Roa believes in its star, like Alejandro Balde of Guinea-Bissau origin. He, however, is wary of the offensive potential of Morocco. We've prepared well for this game. The team believes in its chances. We're ready for Tuesday and we will do everything to win. Ziyech is a high-level player and he proves it since the beginning of the World Cup. He's one of the best Moroccan players, a world-class winger. It's up to us to watch him. The winner of the Morocco-Spain match will face the winner of the Portugal versus Switzerland later in the evening, where Cristiano Ronaldo and his men are tipped favorite against the Nati of Bril Mbolo.
Find your perfect Las Vegas property.
Okay, one more about Pele. And
or a retreat on the edge of town. Download the Booking.com app. Book now, pay later, and cancel anytime.
Journalist and football enthusiast Sultan Al Jassim says Doha Sports Stadium is part of Qatar's history. It's where Pele and his star-studded team Santos played against Qatar's Al-Ahli in 1973. Sultan was 15 years old, and he remembers he couldn't sleep the night before the game out of sheer excitement. Without tickets, he snuck in with his friends by jumping over the fence. People, he says, lined up in a building nearby just to get a glimpse of Pele.
حتى في ناس يقعدوا هنا ويشوفوا اللي يقعد على السور واللي في المدرسة هم قاعد الديني كان الناس تطل من هنا وفوق يعني تحسين مليان الملعب ما فيش حتى مكان تجلسي فيه مساحة صغيرة ما في بيليه موجود يعني كل العالم جاي يشوف بيليه يشوف بيليه مثل الكرة تصفيق على طول وين بيليه يعني هو جاي يشوف بيليه مرة ثانية يسيبها ليو وبيتي حلوة بالشمال ما يهمهم اللي فايز بيليه موجود طبعا بيليه اخذ كاس العالم 1970 وجاي هنا 73 فكان نجم كبير الملعب هذا شاهد على التاريخ نقول لك شاهد على العصر صراحة والاستاد هذا عقب ما جاء بيليه هني صار تطور في كرة القدم اهتمت الحكومة بالأندية باللاعبين فوصلنا لكأس العالم ما جاء من فراغ يعني والدولة ما قصرت وفرت الملاعب وفرت المدارس
والمنطقة تغيرت حوالينا
المنطقة طبعا أكيد صار عمران فيها يعني
the translation is down on
لكن الحمد
the
لله
video
حكومتنا
English translation.
حرصت على إبقاء هذا الملعب كإرث فهذا الحمد لله احنا كقطريين فخورين بهذا الملعب. الاستاد في قلب الدوحة قريب من اللي بيوتها قطريين فشيء حلو جميل يعني كان
Pele will always be considered one of the greatest footballers and strikers of all time. In fact, so much so that his foot was cast into bronze in 2006 at the World Cup in Germany. There's only ever been 2 copies. One's there and one is right here.
He's him, Doha, 73.
Sultan's love for the beautiful game may have started in 73, but decades later he's sharing his passion with World Cup visitors by holding an exhibition.
غالبية الصور أنا أخذتها من ناس، طبعا ناس ماتوا في ناس أحياء منهم كبار السن، وكنت حريص إني أجمع هاي الصور لأن هاي الصور هاي تعتبر إرث حق قطر يعني. كان عيد النبيلي عندنا يعني، قطريين مش مصدقين إن النبيلي موجود عندنا يعني. قطر سوت كأس العالم هم مندهشين الترتيب والتنظيم. الحمد لله حتى اخوان العرب يشكرونا، والله انت رفعتوا وزننا. الان نعيش في يعني كرنفال كروي عالمي، والحمد لله الناس تقبلت قطر.
And Sultan's thoughts on Qatar's exit of the World Cup? Well, just like losing to Santos in 73, he says the 2022 World Cup is Qatar's biggest win.
This bring World Cup here. This man.
Sarah Khairat, Al Jazeera, Doha.
Okay, that's a bit history. And Pele, as I said before, is in a very challenging situation. So pray for him. You know, he's battling colon cancer. Let me conclude by saying the only way we can end the atrocities, the death and the destruction, ongoing bloodshed in Oromia is by organizing our power, Oromos, especially Oromo youth in school, in cities. They must come together, organize themselves, protest day and night. In the one we saw in OLLAA by Rift Valley University students and by other school students, that should replicate into all cities, big and small, to bring change. And those in diaspora community also, they should intensify. A 1 day or 2 day protest will not bring change or will not bring enough pressure on Prosperity Party. So we have to organize our forces and be the voice for those voiceless Oromos, voiceless victims, victims of drone strikes, victims of Fano militia and Amara militia cross-border attacks, which is coordinated by Amara region plus Oromia region plus also Ethiopian Federal Authority. It's a systematic way of killing Oromos. It happened in TPLF time during Abdi Ile in Somali region. The same strategy is now used by Abiy Ahmed to crush Oromos who are resisting his leadership, failed leadership. He's failed in multiple phases, whether you call it unemployment, corruption, the most corrupt government, including from the prime minister. He's the head of the corruption, but he's investigating corruption. So inflation, nothing good about this government, nothing. You cannot lose nothing by fighting against it. Internationally isolated and then no future for young generation. So Oromos, students and others, they should intensify. They should wake up before too late, before this genocide spread to Bali, RC, Hararge or Shashamane and other areas, it will spread. This killing machine will continue if we don't stop it in Wallega, if we don't resist the cross-border attacks of Fano and Amara militia. So that's my message. The diaspora community also should intensify their power to be the voice for the voiceless people. That's the only way to, we can stop Prosperity Party from killing our people. And that's the only way we can stop this organized, systematically financed Fano and Amara militia cross-border attack in Oromia and end the bleeding of our people, the cry of our people, the genocide against our people. That's all I'm going to say for today. Thank you for joining me. I will be back with other news and update. Be safe. So long, everyone.